A fundamental question that businesses encounter is making something versus buying. So make it ourselves or buy it from somebody else. It's an outsourcing decision. And you might be wondering, why do I have pumpkin pie on the slide here? And it's not because I'm recording this in October or November. It's simply because my wife is a pumpkin pie snob. Let me explain. She will only eat the homemade pumpkin pie. Now, granted, she makes it herself, and it is wonderful. But that's a fundamental decision in our household. Should we go to the bakery? Should we go to the freezer section of the grocery store and go with this option? Or do you make it yourself? And in the Harper house, it's definitely make it yourself. There are a lot of qualitative non-financial factors that go into that particular decision. As we look at our printer company here, if you already looked at our special order analysis, you might recall that the overall unit product cost here for 2,000 printers was right around $329 a printer. Okay, so $329.25 to be very specific here, but that's okay if you want to just keep $329 in your mind. So the overall unit cost is $329 per printer. That's what it costs us overall to manufacture the printer. Now what we're seeing is this. We have a supplier who is willing to sell us printers for $240 each. So the fundamental decision is this. Should we continue to manufacture the printers ourselves and incur what appears to be $329 worth of cost, or should we simply purchase this from our supplier? Now, on the surface, it certainly looks like, and you guys have learned, don't go with what's on the surface necessarily. There's usually some kind of deeper analysis. So for that deeper analysis, what we really want to do is look at what can we avoid if we purchase the printers from somebody else, if we outsource. And we can certainly avoid these unit level costs. We will not have to buy the materials. We will not have to pay that direct labor. And if the overhead is truly variable, we will not incur that overhead. And we won't have the batch costs because we will not be making batches of printers. All these go away. And because we're eliminating an entire product line, now brings into mind some qualitative decisions. It looks like maybe an engineer or a production manager might have their employment situation altered. So we always have to be sensitive to that and include those non-financial factors. But the reality is, if we stop making printers, we will not incur these costs that are X'd out. So what happens here is those are the avoidable costs. The facility level costs, those will still remain because presumably we're going to make other products, whether those are keyboards or other computer devices, monitors, who knows what that could be. But we're still going to have our facility. We're just going to get rid of those costs associated with the printers themselves. And so what we see here, $459,300, that's basically all of these three added up. So 459 grand divided by 2,000 printers, that comes out to a relevant cost of just under $230 per printer. And now we can see that manufacturing actually is more favorable. So when we take a look at this is the cost that we would incur if we continue to make those printers. This is the cost to purchase them. This suggests that there's a $10.35 per printer advantage if we make them versus buying them. Right? So the answer to this question is basically keep making them at this point. Because if we purchase them, we're going to spend $240 a printer, and the relevant cost to manufacture them is only roughly $230 a printer. There's a $10 advantage, and over 2,000 printers, that's $20,000 in total. As with most decisions, opportunity cost comes and rears its ugly head, if you will. So you might recall that a few minutes ago we looked at the relevant cost to make a printer was just under 230 bucks, 229.65 per printer. And we have this opportunity to purchase them for $240 per printer. And so we decided, well, we're better off making the printer unless opportunity cost changes that situation. So with opportunity cost in the picture, we've now got a total relevant cost of $499,300. All the unit level costs that happen if we make one extra printer, the batch level costs if we have some additional batches, the product level costs associated with just supporting that product overall, and then the opportunity cost. In this case, the hypothetical situation that I've suggested is basically we could rent our warehouse to another company for $40,000. So in other words, if we don't need that space to produce printers, then we could rent it out. And that foregone benefit becomes a cost of continuing to make our own printers. And what we'll see here, suddenly the new cost to make, okay, then it becomes just under 250 bucks a printer, 249.65. All of a sudden, it looks like this 240 bucks is more attractive, right? So the opportunity cost can change the scenario. We have 249 bucks, almost 250 now is the relevant cost for making this item, because we would lose that opportunity if we continue to make them. And suddenly we swing over to buying them from the outsourced provider, may be more effective. So when we included the opportunity cost using 2,000 printers, then the relevant cost to make the printer ended up being just shy of 250 bucks, 249.65. And we still have this offer on the table to buy them from somebody else for $240 per printer. And what we need to do here now is let's take a look at changes in volume, because all of this analysis right here, this is based upon an assumption that we will produce and sell 2,000 printers. However, the picture may change if we have an increase or a decay in volume. So we need to look at the growth and the decay in volume. And if we think that we're going to actually produce and sell 3,000 printers, let's take a look at what that does to our unit cost. The cost per unit stays the same at 180. Okay? Remember, variable costs, the per unit cost is constant, but in total, variable costs do increase. So if we produce more printers, $540,000 is more than $360,000. And if these additional 1,000 printers, so we're going from 2,000 to 3,000, if we think that it's going to require 5 individual batches of production, then we're going to have an extra 5 batches, 5 times 2,200 bucks, an extra $11,000. The product level costs should not change, but they're still relevant, and the opportunity cost stays the same as well. So what we see is we've got a new unit level cost for making versus buying. The 690,000, just grabbing that from right here. And now we're going to divide by 3,000 printers instead of 2. And we get a new unit level cost of making just north of 230 bucks. So suddenly now, making the printers seems more attractive than buying the printers. And that's because of the increase in volume and these product level and opportunity costs being spread over a greater number of products being produced. So always keep that in mind. And then finally, don't forget about the qualitative, the non-financial factors. Anytime you outsource production, you give up some level of control. Now, there are plenty of good things about outsourcing. It could easily be that the company making those printers specializes in making printers. They might be better at it than we are. They might be more efficient. They may be able to do it in a more cost-effective manner with fewer defects. And that would all be terrific. What it comes down to is we need to vet our suppliers very carefully because we are giving up some control. And if that supplier hiccups, that will probably have an impact on our business as well.